everybody, and welcome to the Warrant and Finance meeting of May
16th.
16th. We have a very short agenda this evening. I think we only have like maybe five
Five or
articles.
six.
Five or six that
Six.
we need to make recommendations on. Jen, do you have some input for me?
So the first article is Article 5, the road committee ordinance. I know that some members of the Warrant and Finance were at the public hearing on Monday. The Board of Selectmen did make some minor changes to that on Tuesday at their meeting based on public input. The statute is very clear, however, that they have to make minor changes so as to not have to have another public hearing. And because absentee ballots have to be available this Saturday, the only changes they really made were grammar. If we look at the road commissioner one, they completely removed the article that, I want to say it was S previously, the one that talked about the $100,000 and the engineer, because they couldn't come to a consensus about removing the word paving and how the state law actually read. That article was removed altogether. It doesn't change that it's still in the law, but the article is gone. They also made a couple of change to M, where the fire chief or law enforcement could allow for use on statutory roads if necessary. The job description about the urban municipality was removed, and correct me, Selectman Kimberly, if I'm wrong, I think that was it. The others were minor.
Yeah, like a period or
Under
grammar.
emergency, though, they did take out the word, what did it say, imminent or immediately? They took it out, so it just reads, defined as any instance or occurrence which could endanger life and or property. They decided to stop batting around the characteristic that went in front of it and removed it. So this is final. It is not, cannot be changed at this point, secret ballot. So we're just looking for a yay or a nay.
All righty then. The last meeting, people had concerns because they hadn't had the opportunity to see exactly what the ordinances were going to be. And now we all have that information. And I will ask for a motion, please, on Article 5.
I make a motion that we approve the ordinance as written.
I have a motion that's been made and seconded. Any further discussion concerning that article? Hearing none. Yes, I have 5 people. Woo-hoo. All those in favor of Article 5, please raise your hands. 5-0.
Thank you.
Article 6.
Okay, the road commissioner ordinance, some minor changes. Did we do these backwards? No.
I think you did.
Oh, I did. I
both.
think I explained them.
Actually,
I
you
explained
did.
them.
You explained it
I explained them
backwards.
different, but nobody caught it. So, well, let me give you the changes from the road committee. Now that you've approved that one. So they did some clarification on the structure and organization of how that paragraph was worded. Mr. Poynt helped us with some terminology, so to make sure the staggering and everybody understood with the clarification of the 3-year terms, so that was changed. This one was primarily grammar.
Yes, I believe you're right.
They did add the terms, I think that Mr. Gore recommended about, that they didn't have any fiduciary abilities without town meeting approval as well, so those pieces were added, but there were no major changes, once again, because they couldn't have another public hearing.
Public hearing.
So,
So I'll entertain a motion for Article 6, please.
I make a motion that we approve the road commissioner ordinance as written.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on Article 6? Yes, Mr. Gore.
Yes. I'm going to be a no vote on this, and I'll tell you why, because basically this just paraphrases the law that have been in place for 100 years. So what have we solved? We've solved nothing. Not only that, the possibility exists to create more confusion than there exists. What has to happen here is terminology like in Title 23, 2701 needs to be defined, and it needs to be defined in the context in which it was created. For instance, under the direction is a very important term here, okay? And then shall have charge, that's another one, where you're talking about selectmen having under the direction, having the power under their direction, and then you turn around and say the road commissioner shall be in charge. What does that mean? Okay? Those are the things we need to look at. And the problem with moving ahead with this is you put it in front of everybody, and now, instead of moving to resolve those issues, you're going to be talking about what does the ordinance say? What does the ordinance say? And having a fight back and forth. We've been dealing with the same laws for 100 years. And they were written that long ago. When you start reading through here, when you start reading through the law, you see that in there. Okay? These laws were written in the days when they used to auction off the job of road commissioners right here, or in the town hall, wherever, whatever town they were in. And then the selectmen would take a bunch of money, give it to the road commissioner, and road commissioner take it off and buy his materials, pay his men, etc., and do the job. Things are very, very different than that now. All right? This talks about bonding, for instance. There's no need to bond. The bonding is in there because years ago, the selectmen actually gave money to the road commissioners, and the road commissioners dispersed the money and did the accounting for it and were responsible back to the selectmen. That's not the way we work anymore. Okay? So, I can go through a whole list of things here. For instance, what does the term in responsibility E, schedule, mean? There's no common law definition for schedule that refers to time, and my sense is that that's used in there to mean time. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that in law. I don't know if it does or not. I don't know what it means. In conventional construction contracts, direction is provided by the owner of the project, okay? And he puts together a contract with plans, etc., under his direction, and then he offers it to bid, all right? And a contractor then picks it up, and the contractor executes the bid, right? And in conventional construction, the terminology that is used to describe the work of the contractor is means and, means and methods. Means and methods belong to the contractor. Direction belongs to the owner. But the context of what direction means in this context is responsibility to develop the legal description, prepare the contract, and then follow up by making sure that the work is done by the contractor in accordance with that contract. The same thing happens in the town meeting. Every article that comes to the floor for a vote is in effect a contract made between the officers, the town meeting, and contractors who are going to execute the work. All right? The same rules apply. All right? Direction in this context means to write the article, okay? And then to go back, and when the work is awarded in the process on the floor of the town meeting, to follow up on that and make sure that the work is done in accordance with the contract, okay? The contract is the description of the work to be done and how much you're allotting for it. Simple as that. You could make it more elaborate than that, but it's not in the normal way we do business on the floor of the town meeting. Those are the jobs of the contractor, whoever gets the job, or in this case, the road commissioners who are contracting for the town. I just see this as, again, you know, paraphrasing statute. So we've been living with the same statutes forever. What does this do for us? It doesn't do anything. The words need to be gone through and needs to be understood by the people who are going to actually try and work with this. That's where the problem is. The problem is understanding the difference between what direction means and what shall have charge means. Those are two of them. Then there are a lot of other words and all of that too that matter. Okay? That's where we need to focus. That's where the problem has been.
I
Noted.
could, Mr. Chairman, I mean, Mr. Gore's got some valid points on, a majority of this is already state law, but it comes from the road commissioners, past and present, that are looking for us to kind of put those items in a document for them. So instead of, when they're interested in running for road commissioner, handing them Title 2301, saying everything you have to do is in this book, this is just a matter of laying it out for them and putting it in one document so that they can review it and they can know and everybody can understand whose job is whose. The selectmen didn't want to put, anything on the road committee and not the commissioner. Similar to the tax collector and the town clerk, 99% of what that person does is all state statute and governed by those laws, but I still have job descriptions to spell it out so that everybody can see it and make it easier to understand. So,
That doesn't answer the question of what does under the direction of mean or shall have charge means. Two key terms here.
under the direction of,
What does it mean to,
if you work under the direction of someone, you know what that means. I mean, if I worked under the direction of Tom Gore, that would mean that
She's taking
I work
direction
under
from
direction,
you.
I work under you, right?
Where's that located,
what does that
Tom?
give you the authority to do?
It depends on what Tom Gore, what my job description says. I mean, it's one of those, the board is trying to better clarify and lay it out for new road commissioners and the road committee and the public who kept saying, we want to see a job description, we want to see a job description. They tried changing this to a public works director, and that's what they heard over and over. Tom's certainly got some good points. At this point, we need to just take it up with the ballot booth, with the ballot box, and let the voters decide.
That's fine. I'm going to be a vote, a no vote, and that's why.
Understand, and, that is certainly, you are right. For clarification purposes, Tom, your contention with the word bonded, I take that to mean insured.
No.
Yes.
No, the term bonded was introduced in there because anybody who handles cash for the town normally is bonded, has to be bonded.
I understand that, but bonding is also insurance,
Well, it can be. It can be.
okay? And in this particular context, under the section 2B, road commissioners shall be bonded to the satisfaction of the selectmen and the treasurer. I would assume
Exactly
that
what
to
it
be
is insurance.
insured.
Well, I
Okay.
think you have to go back again and look in the context of when this law was created.
But if you pull that statute uses the word bonded, so we can't change Maine state law.
No, I don't disagree with you, but understand that bonded is included in that statement because at the point in time when this law was written, the process was that the selectmen actually
All right,
gave to the road commissioners cash. And the road commissioners.
No, I
spent the
understand.
money. So they have to be bonded the same way the treasurer has to be bonded. That's why it's in there.
Noted.
For somebody new coming in,
Mr.
it would be
Chairman?
nice to be
Yes,
able to look
Arn.
at this and say, sorry.
I agree, Tom's got some good points, and the devil is in the details, but at least this is a start. But I would like to, on one thing that makes me want to approve this, is that before, the select board never sat down with the road commissioners and decided on what they're going to, and it's in here now, and it's in here that the road commissioners must plan ahead and discuss the repairs and the projects with the selectmen and come up with a line item budget. This was never done before, and I hope they follow up and manage the road commissioners, and we'll just see how it goes, because these laws have been in a, like they say, Tom says you can roll the snow.
Right. I mean, there's one in there.
I mean, so,
You can either remove it or you can compact it.
but we have
What
to
the law
start,
says.
we have to start somewhere, and I'm gonna
I
be
agree. It's not a perfect ordinance, and I don't think that anybody who developed this ordinance thinks it's a perfect ordinance. There is and probably will be changes made or suggested to be made to the ordinance. However,
I would say that this ordinance is really no different than the ordinances that we deal with on the planning board. It's a working document. It's always evolving. You find things that don't work.
And you
things
have
that
to
do
make
work,
modifications.
And constantly,
That's fine. I
and
don't-
and I think we do this, see how it's working, find out what's not working, what are issues, and at the next opportunity, we can make some changes and
Exactly.
make it right for at least
Process.
50% of the people.
Process is, to make the changes, you gotta bring everybody together who has a stake in it.
Yep.
You have to sit them down and it pounding out. You've been through it, Dennis, you know what this process is. When you get done, you have something that everybody can agree to.
Maybe.
And, well, no, you do.
We did,
No,
we did do
maybe,
that.
Get to the
because
point where-
Didn't
you
we?
have
Yeah.
objections to
We
some
stopped.
terminology, okay, that you've had for years,
Okay.
okay? And, you know, I don't have a problem with you having those objections. You know, you're entitled to your opinion, okay? You may get everybody to agree, but most likely what you're going to do is get a majority to agree. And hopefully, you can get that far.
That's the
And
way
I
it
do
works.
think that the board, this was done in response to, you know, what people were asking for. I mean, they tried to do the Public Works Director, and the people spoke very loudly that they want to still, you know, elect. But it was such a broken system, you know, if we go back to last fall, you know, something had to change.
So the board made drafts, and then they sat down with the road committee, they sat down with the road commissioners, and
had
from
to-
there, we had
They helped
continuous public meeting after public meeting until everybody, you know, could agree on at least a document to move forward.
Which is what we have.
Correct.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, can I get a vote on Article 6? All those in favor, please raise your hands. We have 4-1. You did vote no.
I did vote no. I told you I was going to.
I know that, and I'm just, you know, I'm reiterating that for
No, that's fine.
posterity.
That's fine, that's fine.
Next
Where are we
is
going to, Jen?
Page 9,
Page
very bottom,
9,
Article 33.
33. Where are we?
So 33 and 34, your committee had lengthy discussions on, and we took it back to the Board of Selectmen and asked them to make an amendment on it, so they did agree. So the way they read now is to see if the town will vote to raise X amount of dollars and appropriate X amount of dollars to be appropriated from state LRAP for the districts. Said funds to be dispersed after a project list, including line item budgeting, has been presented to the Board of Selectmen to be expended as follows. So that line was put in both Article 33 and 34 per your recommendation. The board supported it, so we're looking for motions.
Just want to thank the board for doing that.
I also would like to thank the
I would
Board
like
of
to,
Selectmen to do that.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we adopt 33 as recommended.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the selectmen for doing that also.
Everybody wants to thank them.
Is that the end of the discussion?
I don't know, can we do a group hug?
No.
Come on over here, Dennis, I'll give you a kiss.
We've all worked really hard, you know? Not just the
Hearing
selectmen.
no further discussion on Article 33, can I get a vote, please? All those in favor of Article 33 as been modified? I see a 5-0, Jen.
Thank you.
Will that be available at town meeting time?
Will those items,
The budget, line item budget?
I can't say that they'll be available, but the road commissioners,
The only
Well,
thing this
certainly
does is, this approves the article to raise and appropriate the money, but nothing can be spent until you give us a project list, et cetera, et cetera.
And we don't know who one of the
Exactly.
road commissioners is gonna be.
So,
So, once we
I-
get through,
that's really why
I
I
would be sure to
wanted
reach
that.
out to all of them to let
Yeah.
them know, so it's something they could have in their pocket, something
Yep.
good to have on town floor.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted that caveat in these two
I
articles.
feel like the people that are running, they've been coming to these meetings.
Yeah.
So I think they know they're gonna need that.
Yep.
If this passes, so.
Wonderful. Let's move forward to Article 34, please.
Identical, no numbers have changed, the same line.
I will make
you.
a motion that we recommend adoption of Article 34 as drafted.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on Article 34? Hearing none. All those in favor of Article 34, please raise your hands. 5-0.
Now we're going to 67, I believe.
Article 67?
Yeah.
Got to get there first. Deaf, dumb,
14?
Yeah,
16?
page 14, she's right.
Approved.
67, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $5,000 for donation to Balch Lake. We tabled that one.
Why did we table that
You
one?
tabled it because you wanted some additional information and more time to review their financial statements, as I understand it. I did try to reach out to find a representative. I've gotten a name from Linda Shire. I have a local resident that also gave me someone. I have been unsuccessful in reaching them. Doesn't mean that they're not worthy of the funds, I just haven't been able to get somebody that could give me the answers that you were looking for. So unfortunately, you'll have to make your recommendation on that, and we will encourage them to come to town meeting to answer any questions at that point.
I will make a recommendation then that we table Article 65,
We can't-
67?
67, I'm sorry.
You're tabling it until when? You can't you're not gonna make a recommendation at town meeting.
Just tables. You can bring it back to the floor on town meeting.
Well, right, well, it's gonna be voted on regardless of your recommendation, but,
The town meeting can dispense with it, and that's the same thing as tabling it.
so
You actually
you're
can't-
recommending it not to pass?
Right, we can
Okay,
say
that's
the same
different.
thing, but,
All right, let's,
all right, then I'll change my motion, not to pass. If that,
we're $0, right, yep, whatever, just so it's clear with your other motions.
ought not to pass then. Well, never mind, I won't explain the tabling motion, so.
I understand, Tom, what you're saying. But I have a hard time not contributing to, especially at Balch Pond. It's such a disaster up there.
I don't have a problem contributing to it,
You
but
know
we
what I
need to
mean?
know what I just don't want to spend money and put it in the bank someplace.
Right.
I just think that they
can
spend more than $5,000 a year bettering the lake for Acton. That's the thing. I mean, it's not 50,000, it's
They got 71,000 and it
They-
went up $14,000 last year, so.
Well, they spend a lot of money taking out milfoil.
yeah.
Right.
They have
I know
a
they do.
boat, and they have to hire divers to go down and suck it out, and it pumps the weeds in the thing, the water runs back, and the weeds are caught, and they take tons of weeds out of there. But what I don't understand is, you said they had a lot of money left over in the bank,
$71,000, I think the figure
and
was.
I don't know whether that's because they're gonna expend that this year on cleaning it out or not. I would like to have an explanation. They
Oh.
definitely need the money, because
And you've given to them many.
We can
from the-
invite him, right, we can invite him to
Yeah.
the meeting, and they can come in and explain it. Right now, we don't have the information, and if we vote no on this, then maybe they'll show up and explain to us why.
Was there anything additional, Carol, in the packet that they presented?
It was really hard to make sense of it. It was very conflicting. It appeared to me like they got an extreme amount of donations, probably last year, and I don't think it was their norm for what they got for
Maybe a big
donations. That was my
project coming up.
take in reading through it, but without talking to someone, I don't know for sure, but that is what it appeared to be. I just think that, I don't know. For me, because they're a responsible nonprofit and have some money in the bank, that doesn't mean that they don't deserve a $5,000 contribution towards, what this town gains from that $5,000 is immense.
Any further discussion?
We don't have a second.
Oh, pardon me. Why are we discussing it if it hasn't been seconded?
Just got carried away from you.
I see. Once again, I have been circumvented. I don't like the motion that was made, Tom.
Well, it's just.
I would prefer that you make a motion to raise and appropriate 0, which is basically the same thing, okay? But, you know, that's my,
I will withdraw my motion then and recommend that we appropriate zero for this.
Second.
have a motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion as it was made to appropriate $0 for the Balch Lake Improvement Association, please raise your hands.
Well,
This could be, it can be changed. This is just our recommendation.
I understand that, but I hope would somebody call them and let them know that?
I will.
Jen's trying to,
I will. I have left a couple of messages. I'm just guessing. I'm not saying they're not getting back. I'm guessing that I'm reaching the wrong people. That's why I reached out to Linda Shire today, because she's kind of our, you know, she knows everybody on the water.
Between.
And she gave me, S. Jackson, she gave me, I can't think of what her first name was, but she gave me a couple of contacts that she had. And I just haven't had any luck connecting. I also put something on What's Up in Acton to see if
Yes, you
somebody
did.
else had another one. And I had a
noticed
resident
that.
reach out to me saying that he thought that a gentleman, that was his DJ, might be related, but I'm just waiting.
I mean, I would gladly,
I'll get somebody there,
Change.
Arnold.
my vote
At town meeting.
If there was a plan and an explanation for how the money's being spent, I don't have a problem with that, but I
Can
don't.
I get a recap of the vote, please?
4-1.
4-1? Thank you. That was Article
67.
lost. Give me a break. And we said 0.
Yeah. All right, 76.
76. That was a so-so year.
So 76 is the changes to the road committee. There was a public, the road ordinance. There's too much of this going on right now. My mind is starting to spin. The changes to the road ordinance, there was a public hearing last night. As I understand it, it went fairly well as far as the conversation. The board does agree that the entire thing might need to be looked at some point, but they are moving a couple of changes forward to open it up for more roads. So the proposed changes in here are highlighted. There are only a couple. You can see that the effective date under E would change. There is changing to GA, which comes from the attorneys to change the way that the 34-foot right-of-way is accepted. And then on the flip page, under 3B, the word used to be plural, road commissioners, and that's changed to the road commissioner. So essentially, just the road commissioner on that side would need to give input. Because this is on the warrant, you can have as lengthy of a discussion as you would like at town meeting. Unlike the ordinances, you'll be voting on it on the floor.
So well, let's do this properly. Can I get a motion on Article, what was it,
76.
76?
I make a motion to accept the proposed amendments outlined in Article 76.
second.
Have a motion is made and seconded. It's now open for discussion. Just out of curiosity, the selectmen agreed with reducing the easements down to 20?
Not the easements, the title. The titled area, the titled width.
Right.
The ordinance originally required a 34-foot title
In simple
be conveyed
fee.
to the town. This conveys only 20-foot wide passway and 7 feet on either side. The town is given the option of using that for an easement. In other words, a place to put snow, et cetera.
Understand.
Right. That's what the proposal is. I have a few concerns with it, which I will address when we get going on this.
But at the end of the day, it's still 34 feet. It's just,
Right, so
Well, there's a question about that, you know? The problem here is,
it's another way of looking at it, according to the board, but Tom's right.
all right, you have a 20-foot right-of-way that you own title to, all right? The road commissioners have the option of moving cars if they damage something in that right-of-way. That's somebody else, if they've left something in that right-of-way, okay? We need that 7 feet on the side to put snow and whatever we have to do along the road to maintain it. all right? When you grant an easement, you're permitting people to go over it. Now, this says unconditional easement. Unconditional easement is not defined in common law. There's no definition included here for it. My concern is, what happens when our road commissioners start knocking over fences and posts, et cetera, or hit cars in that 7-foot area, okay? If that vehicle is left, or a post is left, or a mailbox is left in town property, the town's not responsible. But if it's on an easement, okay, that's a whole different ballgame. Because just because you have an easement to that land doesn't mean you can do anything on it that you want. That's one of the issues. The other issue was, when we drafted this, I was concerned, and this is why the deed requirement exists, that at some point in time, we're going to be putting in sewers, okay? We're not in any rush to do that.
Sewers?
We'd like to be able to deny it, but reality is it's gonna happen, okay? And in order to do that, we need to be able to have access below the ground. Another thing that has to happen in that right-of-way, and you don't have authority to do it here, is the town has to grant authority to put telephone poles in.
So if this remains a private road and we put sewers in, how do we do that?
I would not even think about
Or like
worrying.
if,
It's
I'm just saying,
about
like, what's the,
sewers.
It's going to be a big issue. My point here is, in bringing this forward, was that we're going to avoid having to deal with that issue the hard way if we take title to the property, okay? And that's why this definition of the deed type is included in this, because I insisted on it when this was created.
So
Where's that located?
how does it work, Tom, on the roads that we have easements on now?
Well, we don't know till we have a problem, right? Okay, and this is an issue that I've raised a number of times with the road commissioners, okay? Going out and getting easements, for instance, for our turnarounds, okay? First thing that happens is, when we have a turnaround, like at the end of the lake down Garvin Road, okay? People come home, their driveways are full of snow, they park their cars in there, all right? If that's town land, the road commissioners can make them tow their cars out of there, or they can have them towed out of there so that they can get in there and plow. But if it's only an easement, you can't do that. All right? Or you can, and you can't improve the land. You have an easement, you can't improve the land. You're literally, an easement is just what it says it is.
I mean, so I don't know of any roads in town now that we own, say, the 34 feet or the 50 feet or whatever. I mean, all our roads are laid out with easements.
because all the current
best of my
existing roads were
recollection.
grandfathered, is that, I think I heard that
No,
last
they're
night.
grandfathered in as town ways. The ordinance did that.
No, I appreciate that, but I don't know of any roads that we have right now that aren't deeded
They're
a
deeded.
50-foot easement, or when the town accepted them back in the 1800s or 1900s.
Those roads weren't, you know that and I know that, they're all two-rod roads, basically, okay? But all the ones that we have accepted and created in zoning, applying the zoning ordinance
Oh,
to
no.
subdivisions,
Right.
okay, that have been accepted since then are 50 feet wide, okay? And the purpose of doing this was, because that was the only provision we had in law at the time, okay? We created this Class B specifically to allow the town to accept these roads and not have our road commissioners trying to plow like Middle Street. You know what Middle Street is like, right? You go in there, you don't have any place to put the snow. You'd have to go in there with buckets to clean it
Right, so
out.
the only roads that we have, that we would have this with at this point is in the subdivisions.
The only roads we would have probably that are 50 feet wide are in the subdivisions, right? That have been created.
So everything else is still the easements.
Well,
So if a car is parked on the side of Sanborn Road, and that's technically an easement, it would be no different than if it was parked on the side of 7th Street, let's say, legally. Did you get a legal opinion
attorney
about the
wrote-
unconditional, you know,
About-
that word?
About what he's saying,
Yeah, like what would the consequence be to that?
no, but I mean, the town's attorney suggested this change to meet some of these roads in the middle, And I mean, I didn't ask him those direct questions. I often referred to certain points of the meeting and have him review, concerns, and that's what I'll do with Tom's, but he still has to, he still has to look out for the town, so I can't imagine he'd put us in a situation that would then turn around and make us, worse off legally, so, but I mean,
Question is if he actually realizes it. He's not working with the road commissioners day to day.
I believe, I trust that he realizes, but I will have an opinion from him prior to town meeting, and that's something you guys can discuss there.
And I think
I
that,
just would like to see like a definition for that
Yeah,
term.
absolutely.
Unconditional
what,
easement.
unconditional easement?
Yes.
This,
I mean, what we should be saying is, anything that happens in that easement area is not the responsibility of the town if something is damaged while we're plowing, or repairing the road, or ditching, or whatever we have to do to maintain the road.
Isn't that why David-
So we're not gonna change this.
Is that the question that Nancy asked last night, Ken?
No, that was in Arnie's letter.
No.
Okay.
That was the one you questioned, right, in your letter?
Remember?
what?
That definition of unconditional easement.
The difference between right-of-way and,
Yeah.
what the devil was
What
that
was,
question?
let me look.
Ed said that he would find out.
It was right of way and what was the other word?
Should have brought my
Well,
dictionary tonight.
the only, the concern I have is this is being drawn up because of 7th Street.
Yeah.
This is why this came to be. But this is gonna open up a Pandora's box, because all these other streets are gonna come in, and the town is setting a precedent that the streets that I mentioned in my letter last night, because I was unable to attend, they're gonna come in and want this, and right now, we can't take care of the roads that we got.
Right.
I mean, we got potholes everywhere, and we want to add expenses that we can, like I said, Lakeside Drive from the H Road in is plenty wide enough, and I'm sure everybody down there would say, I'll give you an easement over my property, you plow the first half mile, the 3/4 mile, Buzzell Road.
Would
Same
they
thing.
meet all the other requirements under,
Right, all the,
like, if you look at, like, just for the sake of conversation, if you look under, G2 on page 17, the Class B, where they, so get past A for a minute, but all of the, like, the width, the type of compacted gravel, the finished crushed gravel, the, hammerheads, the grade level, would, all those roads that you're referring to, do you think
Well,
they'd meet most of
the only
that?
things that I know of, Lakeside Drive would, because it's all flat, all the way in until you come to Red Gate Road.
Yeah,
So does an Anderson Cove. That's flat all the way.
Anderson's Cove is a pain in the butt. Plow it sometime and tell me about it.
I guess the
Than
other
it used
piece
to
of
be.
it, as far as the selectmen, and
yes.
putting it on there, and knowing that it will open it up for some other roads, is that, regardless of the status of the current roads, the people on all these other roads, if they qualify to be Class B, I mean, they're taxpayers, and they're
Well, they
entitled
don't
to have that.
qualify unless you amend the ordinance. That's the thing, is you're making an exception for those people.
Yep.
Now it's gonna open it up for everybody.
It's true.
And I'm saying, right now, I don't think we can afford it.
The other thing to remember is, you start keeping these roads narrow, you double the cost of plowing them, because you're in there operating with big equipment that presumably moves fast, and you can't move that fast on.
Number one, you don't plow fast, Tom.
Well,
If you plow fast, you're wasting time and money because,
I won't.
Well, it's,
No.
You have,
Fine, right away
you want to plow
versus-
as fast as possible, let's put it that way.
yes,
The tighter the road is, the less likely you are to be able to do that.
yes, I know. So
Be a
did
good
we
discussion.
had a motion on this?
Yes, we're to accept the changes.
To accept the changes?
Yeah.
And it was seconded?
Yes.
Any further discussion that needs to be done now and not on town floor?
No, this can be done on town floor.
Yeah.
Well, we can't amend it on the town floor.
Why?
You can't amend an ordinance on the town floor.
Who told you that?
Since when?
Never been able to.
Dr. Williams did, when he changed
Well,
the
maybe
article,
not, but I think the law is quite clear about that.
when the, what was it, 2 years ago?
did you make a amendment?
Yes, he did.
And then you
Because
voted?
it was to withhold
Miss,
funds
yes, for.
from District 1
Oh, but that was an
Until-
article,
It
Warren.
was an article.
That was an article, that's right.
But it's not an
I'm
ordinance.
saying an ordinance,
Ordinance.
that you can't
Different.
amend an
You may not-
ordinance on the
You may
floor.
not amend an ordinance on the floor of
We'll
the
have to
town.
find
You have
out.
to go with the final draft, because you have to have a public hearing, everybody has to understand what's in.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I say about that, Tom. I say the town meeting is your public hearing,
Well, it should be.
and I say that the town meeting has a right to do whatever they wanna do unless the state has a law that says it's illegal.
I think the state
That would
does
be called common law.
I think it does.
Right, Tom?
Right.
And honestly, I would like to see in writing that you can, because I honestly believe the town meeting should be.
Here she comes.
I think, I agree with you 100%, because the more state law we get trying to influence our town meeting, the more screwed up it becomes. You can't just have
See
a
how we
regular
can
common sense
agree
discussion.
on something but be disagreeing at the same time?
That's fine.
I stand corrected, Jen. It was an article that Dr. Williams modified on the town floor.
Yeah, but.
This
I
is
just
an ordinance.
Well, I know, but I still gonna read you the answer. Go, you can go on the next one, though. Don't feel like you
This
have
is
to
the
wait for
last,
me.
we're waiting on you.
So whether you can change it or not isn't gonna depend on your vote. I mean, either you agree with it the way it's presented or not. That's the motion on the floor, right?
Yeah,
But that's
Yes.
not gonna change, so go right ahead.
all right.
So all those in favor of accepting the ordinance changes as written, please raise your hands. 3-2.
Perfect.
I just count.
Hey, you're supposed to count the no votes too, you know. Somebody's
did.
gonna ask that question.
Did you vote no? Did you vote no?
I will vote no if you give me the opportunity.
I'll take all the no votes now, please. 1, 2.
Good, raise your
Already put your
hand.
hand
Got 'em. All right, we have,
That's it.
What is the background here? Why do they have to have that 7 feet on each side, do you know?
That would've been a great conversation for last night's public hearing. I'm not,
Nobody said.
yeah, no, I'm just not, I'm not, this isn't the place to discuss all the details of 7th Street. I mean, they petitioned the town, 8 months ago, and it's been an ongoing process, and this just,
we're not done.
isn't the place for me to pour it all out. I don't have it all in front of me.
safe to assume that they can achieve the 34-foot titled,
That is correct.
But
No,
they've done
no.
everything else.
it cannot happen.
There's no question.
But they don't want to give up.
We have one more article, people.
We do?
Yes,
Which one?
Article 77,
Oh,
I was done.
I was done too. Nice catch.
no problem.
Come on in, sit down. I don't blame
She's
you.
not here? Is she in the parking lot? No.
All right. Article 77, see if the town will vote to accept 7th Street as a Class B road. It was a petition article. This simply requires a recommendation. We've already discussed the change to the road ordinance and had our vote on that. Can I get a motion, please?
I make a motion to accept the article. Is written.
I have a motion that's been made. I don't hear a second.
Well, wait a minute, probably didn't do that right.
What was your motion?
To see if the town will vote to accept 7th Street.
As a Class B
It's asking
road.
the question if, so,
So you're gonna either make a motion to accept it or not to?
I make a motion to accept 7th Street as Class B road.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Has there been any evaluation of it?
Both the road commissioner.
If you had been in attendance at the meetings that have been held, you would know that the answer is yes. One road commissioner, or one former road commissioner attests that that road meets all the requirements of a Class B road.
Current road commissioner also attested, and we got a letter from an engineer
Oh, you did?
specifying,
Okay.
yes, we did.
That's what I told him he had to do.
Yes.
Okay. So technically, we're satisfied technically then.
I'm not, but that's beside the point. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving, you have discussion?
I just want to say that, these
Absolutely.
people have put a lot of money into this road.
I know.
Okay. that was
My
it.
niece lives on 7th Street.
To
Guess
their
what?
benefit.
It doesn't make
To their
any
benefit, yes,
Doesn't
but I'm
make
just saying, they've done the work
difference.
that should be done to become a Class B road.
I've got family down there, too.
All right. Article 77. All those in favor of recommending approval of Article 77 as written, please raise your hands. 3, 4?
This is going to be pending the outcome on the...
Yeah, the wording, I do need to make a minor change to that wording, so that article will not be voted on unless 76 passes, so I will make a small amendment to that article. And I did find, I'm sorry, did Tom finish voting?
No, I'm waiting.
I'm just going to abstain from that.
No, there's no abstention. You either vote yes or no. You have no just cause for abstaining.
Yeah, I have family on there.
So do I. Vote no,
Well, don't
Tom.
vote because
right.
whether you have family there or
No,
not.
I know, I was kidding.
Are you going
I
to
don't know
vote
anybody
no or
on 7th
yes?
Street, I don't think.
I need a clarification, please, Tom.
If we, yes, because if we adopt the amendments, then obviously it's going to qualify,
So we're going to say that you voted yes?
Yes.
That would be 5-0.
And you're going to change the wording a little bit so that
She's going to add that caveat.
Yes.
the article is pending
That
approval.
article doesn't pass, then
So just for quick clarity, it does say that municipal officers should bear in mind that because the statutory form of the questions for adoptions of amendments of ordinances asks for a yes or no question, it appears in the law that no amendment can be made to a proposed ordinance or amendment from the floor of an open town meeting.
so the answer is no, you can't modify.
Tom was right.
Thank you.
Well, in a sense.
Thank you, Jen.
It said it appears.
Right.
Just because it appears to be something doesn't mean it's fact.
That's correct.
You appear to be an old man.
It's just a good, it's true,
I am getting there very fast.
I'm going to make one more comment with respect to the good development of an ordinance, and I'm going to do this, so I keep repeating it. Want to see people agree on everything, go back and look at the road ordinance. Took it 5 years to get it through, was not popular when it went through, okay? But on the floor of the town meeting, not just among the committee, but the floor of the town meeting, it was a uniform vote. And people understood that it wasn't, it was going to hurt a lot of
Didn't
people.
understand,
I
Dennis?
voted no.
You did not vote no.
Yeah, I was there. He voted no.
Do you not understand?
I understood.
Just asking.
Is there any further business that we need to conduct as Warrant and Finance Committee concerning this warrant?
Motion to adjourn.
I'm entertaining a motion to
Second.
adjourn. It's been seconded. We're done. Thank you, folks.